Hello everyone, and I welcome you for the physics class with Shubham. So for today's class, I will start the class with a quote given by Albert Einstein. He said that in order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure. The meaning of this quote is that if you want to get success in life, you should not fear for failure. Once you may fail in life, but next time you may get success in life. So you should have a proper goal that you will get success in life. That is the important thing. Rather than thinking of that if I fail in life, then fail in this particular case, then what will happen to me? Once I also told you that if you want to discover something, first time you may be, or invent something, first time you may be fail, second also you may fail, third also you may fail, but fourth time or fifth time there is a possibility you may pass or you will succeed with great achievements. So it is better, don't think of the failure, think of the success or the dream that you have or the goal that you have in your life. So now let us start the class, physics class. So I will teach you today the concepts that I have written already, the gravitation, the term gravity and the universal law of gravitation. So let us start with gravitation. What do you mean by gravitation? If I ask you what do you mean by gravitation, what will be your answer? You might say that these are the forces of attraction between two bodies. Yes, the forces of attraction between two bodies. It can be anything in this universe. It can be the sun, it can be the moon, it can be a stone on the earth and the earth, anything. So those bodies can be anything. So that one is known as the gravitation. Now if I say gravity, gravity is a specific term. Specific term in the sense that I say that gravitation is a force between two objects. Two bodies are there. If out of these two bodies, one is our earth, if the other one can be anything, any heavenly body. If one of them is earth, then that force of attraction is known as the gravity. So that is the difference between gravitation and gravity. So now let us move to our next topic, that is universal law of gravitation. Because since you have studied this topic in class 9, I hope you will not find very difficult in learning the topic. So the first topic I say main topic is universal law of gravitation. So according to this universal law of gravitation, what does it specify or what does it states us? Suppose I say this is a body A and this is another body B. This has mass m1, this has mass m2, and I say that they are separated by a distance r. When I say they are separated by a distance r, now the distance you cannot take from the surface of the body, you have to take this distance from the center of the body to the center of the other body. Means from here to here, if I join this line, this distance is my r. Remember, while we are studying gravitation, in that if I say distance from the earth, if I will not say distance from the surface of earth, if I simply say distance from the earth, you must understand that we are talking about distance from the center of the earth. Okay, so here distance means from one center to the other center. If it is a very small body, then the radius, or we can say the distance, we can neglect it. But if it is a bigger body, we have to take the distance from the center. So according to the law of gravitation, it states that these two bodies will suffer an attraction. So F is there, it will be directly proportional to the product of the masses m1 into m2, and also inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So okay, this is the law, means the force of attraction between two bodies will be directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So I have written in this way, this is a mathematical formulation. Mathematically how can write? So if I combine these two, I can write F proportional to m1 m2 divided by r square. And all of you know that if you want to remove the proportionality sign, we have to add here a constant, and that constant we used to write g m1 m2 divided by r square. So this is the expression for force. What did I say? This is the expression for force between two bodies. Done? So now, on what factors this force will depend? This force will depend on the mass of the two bodies. If the mass is large, the force will be large. And if I say distance is very large, then the force will be less. But if I say distance is less, the force will be more. So, this one is the concept of force. And here, what is G here? G is nothing but it is a proportionality. What is this? Proportionality constant. So G is a proportionality constant in this formula. And the name suggested for this is, and the name given was universal gravitational constant. So they gave the name universal gravitational constant to this capital G. Means this is my capital G, and the value of it is 6.27 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So this is the value of G. Why the term universal is given here? Universal means universe. If you go to the moon, if you go to the Saturn, if you go to any other heavenly bodies on Earth, in the universe, the value of G will remain the same. Now, whenever someone says the value of G, you must understand there are two values here G. One is a capital G, another one is a small g. Let's see, if I have time, I will teach you the just basic of small g. But if I say capital G, it will be constant throughout the universe. So this is my capital G. Now come, if you look to the Friedmann's equation, we have written F equals to G m1 m2 divided by r square. I hope it is the equation. So if I cross multiply, I can write the expression for G as fr square divided by m1 m2. I can write in this way. It's okay, so we can write the value of expression for G in this way. From this expression now, we can write the dimensional formula. Also, we can define what is G. Let's first write down the dimensional formula, then we will go for the definition of G. It's okay? So first of all, we will write the dimensional formula. I know already in the first chapter, you have written or you know how to write the dimensional formula. So G will be equals to, the expression for the dimensional formula of force is what? Force means mass into acceleration. So I can write this as m L T minus 2. Then comes the distance, right? Distance is L square. Mass into mass means m square. So this one I can write m minus 1 L cube T minus 2. So this is the dimensional formula of acceleration, means universal gravitational constant. Done. Next comes G equals to fr square divided by m1 m2. Now I am going to define G. What is the definition? Suppose in exam it came, define the universal law of gravitation. How will you define it? You cannot simply write G is equals to fr square divided by m1 m2. So how we will define it? We will write if m1 is equal to m2 is equals to 1 kg. Suppose the masses are 1 kg and they are separated by a distance of 1 meter. Then capital G will be equals to F. So how can we define now? Universal gravitational constant is equal to, what is this? The force of attraction between two bodies of masses how much? 1 kg when they are separated by a distance of 1 meter. So that is the definition of universal gravitational constant. So let me define again. What did I say? Universal gravitational constant is equal to, or I can say is numerically equal to the force of attraction between two bodies between two bodies of masses 1 kg each, separated by a distance of 1 meter. So that is the definition of universal gravitational constant. Hope till now whatever we have learned it is okay. We have learned the statement of the universal law of gravitation. We have learned the mathematical expression. Yes or no? This is the mathematical expression. I can write from here F is equals to mathematical expression. Then we wrote the value of G. We came to know about a new term, that is the universal gravitational constant. After knowing the universal gravitational constant, we have defined the universal gravitational constant. So these are the things that we have learned. Now let's move to one type of numerical, or how to find out the force if we don't have only one. We don't have one mass. We have so many masses out there. So how to calculate? Suppose I say here, this is a mass m1, this is mass m2, this is mass m3, this is mass m4, and this is mass m5. Just I have taken so many masses. And you want to find out what is the net force acting on the mass m5 due to all the masses. You have to find out the net force acting on all the masses. Is the force a vector or a scalar? Here it's a vector quantity. None. So we have to find the force between these two. We have to find the force between these two. We have to find the force between these two. We have to find the force between these two. So how can I write total force? Total force F, if I write it's a vector, then it will be equals to 1F. The force between these two, I can write F1 upon 5. Means 1 is giving the force on 5. Then it is vector plus force who is giving 2 is giving the force on 5. 2, 5. Done. Plus next F3, 5 plus F4, 5. So this is how we have to find out the net force acting on a body. This is not a numerical, just as an example to show you that if there is not only one, means two bodies, if we have lots of bodies are there and they are separated by different distances, what is the total force acting on one body? See, in reality, if I talk about the force between Earth and Moon, obviously there are other bodies also, they are also affecting us, affecting the force. So that force must also be included in real life. But if we do normally for class 9, we used to take only Earth and Moon. We don't consider the other bodies. Here also, unless and until it is provided, it is given that you have to consider other forces, we will not consider. But you must understand that that there, if this is our Earth, this is the another planet, this is another thing, this is satellite, this is, so all this will have a force on the Moon or Earth. So this is how we have to calculate the total force, because force is a vector quantity. Let me show you a numerical in which you will find it very easy for you. Let us consider a equilateral triangle. This is a just rough calculation, rough way. I want you to write this also in your copy. This is a equilateral triangle and I say that this is my position A, this is B, this is my C. And let us assume here we have mass M. Here also mass is M. Suppose it is M1, this is my M2, this is my M3. Got it? We have three masses at the three corners. You have to use this concept in class 12, so please be ready, be prepared. How I explain, please try to understand. Otherwise, again in 12 I will explain, no doubt I will explain, or whoever will teach they will explain. But you must, if you know it, it will be easy for you in class 12. I consider the centroid, or I consider the center. So here suppose the position is D and we have a mass capital M here. And we want to find out the total force acting on D by all these three forces, by all these three masses. We want to calculate? There are three masses at the three corners of an equilateral triangle, or I can say the three vertices of an equilateral triangle, and there is another mass at the center of this triangle. We have to find out the net force acting on the mass capital M by all these masses. See, like previous one when I discussed, I must know the distance between the two masses. So if I join this, I will get the distance between these two masses. If I join this, I will get the distance between these two masses. If I join this, I will get the distance between the masses. But if it is an equilateral triangle, I can write that AD, then BD, then A, B, C are equal. I hope you know this is equal. Because if I have drawn a perpendicular, if it joins, this point will be 2/3 of the total length. Similarly, if I join this, then also it will be 2/3. So what happened? These distances are equal. No doubt in my figure it looks like this is shorter, this is longer, but this will be equal. Now let us find the total force acting at D. So total force, if I write F, it will be equals to F. Force is given by A on D. So A is giving the force on D. So I am writing AD with a backward sign. Plus. Now B is also giving the force. So BD. Plus last one is FCD. It's okay. So these are the forces. Now the question arises how to find out here, because we don't know. Because you see force is a vector quantity, I have written in vectors. So let me write this in the form of values now. So can I write FAD? Please be attentive so that you can learn the things. So FAD, if I say, AD if I say, then I have to write capital G will remain the same, mass M1 into capital M divided by distance is AD square. Done. Now the question is what is the direction? Because when I have written this, that means I am talking about the magnitude value only. But left hand side is a vector quantity, so there must be something to explain that it is a vector. Do you remember I, J, K, all these things? Yes. I hope you remember. So if I say that I want to find out the direction, can you think that A is giving the force, means is this force outward or upward? Means A is pushing. So I can say it will be in this direction. Because means both, what will happen? This is will come towards D. So I can write this in this direction. So this will be my negative of J cap. So because this is my J axis I have considered. Now move on to FBD. Now again it will be F M1 capital M divided by BD square. Now next, how to write the direction now? BD. Let me extend it. Because the force will be always out like this, you have to take. The force will be out. If this is the case, so F I am writing FD BD. Then you see here, if I draw a line like this, then it will be 30 degrees. Now you might say, ma'am, how can it be 30 degrees? Yes, because this is an equilateral triangle. We have drawn it. It's from the center we have drawn. So this is 30, this is 30. So if this is 30, we have extended. For parallel line I have drawn. So this will be 30. So this will be my BD cos of what? 30. And here I will have BD sine of 30. It's FBD sine of 30. It's okay, we got this. Now, when I will write the direction, how I am going to write? See, when I say this FBD, it has two components. One is cos component, another one is sine component. Is this cos component along x-axis? Yes, it is along x-axis. So I will write I kept cos of 30. The other one is in the positive y-axis, so it will be j cap sine of 30. Because this is a not new thing, we are resolving the forces. We know it, we have studied in vectors. Now if I ask you, calculate for FCD. You will again tell me that ma'am F, mg, m1 m divided by cd square will be there. And now comes the direction. What will be the direction? Again if I extend it, then this will be my FCD vector. If I draw this line, then it will be 30, so this will become 30. Here I will have FCD cos 30. Above I will have FCD sin 30. Hope you can understand the diagram, because this part is different. You should understand. So now tell me, if I talk about this particular component, is this in the positive x-axis or negative x-axis? It's in the negative x-axis. So negative x-axis means minus I cap cos of 30 degree plus other one is j cap sine of 30 degree. Hope it is okay. So these are the forces. Now if according to us, in order to calculate the net force, what we are doing, we are adding all the vectors. So let me add the vectors. If I add the vectors, let me add at the top so that it becomes easy. I will rub this part. So I can write from here F will be equals to, so GM 1M divided by AD, BD, CD, all are equal. So I am writing this as suppose R square. Then I have to write the center, means inside part. The first one is minus J cap. This is okay? Minus J. Second part is plus I cap cos 30 plus J cap sin 30. Done. Next one is minus I cap cos 30 plus J cap sin 30. Got it? This will cancel out. Now the first part I am not writing again. Now tell me, cos sin 30 is what? Sin 30 is half. Again here we have sin 30. Sin 30, sin 30, half plus half means 1. So I will get j here. This is minus j. So what will happen? Minus j cap plus j cap will come. That means what? That means the total force on it will become. So this is how we have to calculate the total force, because of, you can try with suppose I have given you a now squared. This is A, B, C, D. You can try this one. And here we have mass M1. This is my mass M2. This is M3. This is my M4. At the center, suppose DE. Here we have a mass capital M. What is the total force acting at E by all the forces? Try to do this one, then you will be able to understand the concept properly. So this is a very easy topic that I have taught you today. So for the next class, I will be dealing with you the topic of acceleration due to gravity. But before I wind up, means complete the topic, whatever we have done today, let us summarize it. So what we have learned, summary, if I say, the first thing we learned about the difference between gravitation and gravity. Then we learned about the universal law of gravitation, the statement. Then we learned about the mathematical expression. Then comes after mathematical expression the SI unit. We got not SI unit of what? SI unit of capital G. Then we defined the capital G term. Then we have tried to solve a numerical, or I can say type of numerical, where we have not only two bodies but we have multiple bodies. So we try to find out the force of gravitation between, means multiple bodies. I can say multiple bodies. So I have done one with triangle. I have given one with a square to do it, so that you can practice how I have done. Think of x, y, z axis in that way. It is very easy. I know you can do it. It's okay then. Till then, thank you. Have a nice day ahead.